Oh, that's real bad. Hey everybody, so today we've got a wheel that's really wobbly. I did a video a while back on how to true a really bent or tacoed wheel that was basically just a single wall rim. This one's a double wall rim. I don't know, it's off of probably a pretty inexpensive bike. Doesn't really, I don't know, I'm not really familiar with this this brand. Or it's an Alex rim, so never mind. It's somewhat decent. I'm not sure what bike this came on, but anyway, it came into the shop and I think the wheel had gotten run over by a car or something, and so typically anytime a wheel like this comes into the shop, we're not going to try to straighten it. We're just going to replace it. Really mainly just because the time it takes to straighten this out and everything else, just labor-wise, is going to exceed the cost of a basic wheel similar to this one. This wheel's probably, a replacement wheel's probably around, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks, just kind of guesstimating. And, you know, we're looking, you know, typical hourly rate in a bike shop is probably $90 to $100 an hour. So it's just something you probably typically have to wrestle with for more than that. So I'm going to attempt to straighten this one and get it back into usable condition. I'll show you how to basically my methods, and I'm actually going to try a couple new methods. One thing we've got going for us here is that the on the seam where this rim is pinned together, it's starting to separate a little. So you got to really be careful when you're working this rim over that you don't pull that apart any further. So first step we're going to do is just really, some of the spokes are loose, but that's just because that's the way the wheel's bent. But we're going to go ahead and loosen all these spokes up. Got my little red Park spoke wrench here, which is just kind of for the whatever Japanese size or imported size. So basically what we're going to do is just loosen all these spokes up. Get them to where there's probably maybe 3 or 4 millimeters of thread showing, and then we'll start working it over after that. So that's going to be our first step. So we'll check back here in just a minute once I get all these loosened up. All right, so I got all my spokes loose here. Took them about as far as I could go before they would actually want to come out. So, but anyway, the reason that we're basically taking the tension down this low on the spokes is that so like, let's say for example, you can see this portion of the rim here, how it's, you know, it's bent over that way. We want to bring it this way. If the spokes, you got to have plenty of room for the spokes here to allow this rim to move over. And so what's going to happen in order, you know, for it, if I were to just line this up straight, I'm kind of looking at the camera here. And if we were to make this, you know, right about here would be where we would want it to be. But in order to get it there, you have to bend it over about to here. You know, 'cause this metal is going to be kind of springy, so you have to take it beyond the point to bend it a little, and then it's going to end up, that's going to be the resting spot. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clamp it just directly to my welding table and kind of take special attention to this seam here. And then I think I'm just gonna manipulate it from there. So gotta kind of start off here, I think. Just gotta use a 2x4 and some metal clamps, or just some whatever clamps. Could not be just long enough. This is my welding table, and you may notice that we're in a little different area than what I have been in. So we moved into a new apartment, and this is going to be my, hopefully for the foreseeable future, or the next few years, this is going to be where we're going to be making videos and whatnot. And got the welding table, so if that tells you anything, hopefully for too long I'll have a new welder. So yeah, I think this works this will work pretty good. Let's see. Let's see what that got us. Definitely better. This seam part here is kind of pretty ugly looking, so okay. We'll clamp another piece of wood here, and then just I'm gonna give this kind of work away at it with a mallet there. It's got a few sharp little bends in it, so let's get that set up. Okay, so I kind of just made this little makeshift jig here, which this is actually, these work pretty well. I've made these in the past with you can use if you got just a chunk of 2x4, like this would be a good example. Like cut a couple of the end pieces, mount them to where you've got like a little, they're stacked on either end, and you've got a gap about maybe this wide, and you can, like, let's say you've hit something, there's a flat spot right there, you can basically take these, move those spokes, take them all the way and done, and move them out of the way, and then take your, like a mallet, like a harder plastic mallet like that, and just kind of wail on it for a bit, and you can get those flat spots out. Or in the case of this, so we've got our seam portion here. It needs to go that way just a bit, and then there's a few other spots. Yeah, so like right here, I don't know how easy that is to see. Right in here, it's upwards a little. So I'm just going to go ahead and, looks like it took a hit there. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as the center point of where we're going to hammer on that. And I don't know, other than where the seam is, I think that's the two biggest offenders. So I'm just going to lay this, just going to lay it in here with that portion in the center, and just roll on this side. It's looking pretty good there. See if we can get it here on the seam without doing too much destruction. Go a little easier. I'm going to work this over with the 2x4 clamp down just a bit more. I'm going to be real careful because I've got that's where my seam is, so I don't want to work that in too much. Let's see where we're at now. It's getting better. I want to get it a little bit straighter before we put it back up into the truing stand. Well, I'm getting pretty close now. Just got a few random bends that I'm just not really liking. Kind of wavy bends that I'm not really liking how they're looking. got her back in the truing stand here, which by the way, I just recently rebuilt this truing stand with all new modern components, so I've got a video on that if you're interested in. This is my old Park Tool TS2 truing stand, but I've got TS2 arms, and then the main shaft there has been upgraded, so a lot smoother action. So anyway, we've got, this is just the basic rim now. Obviously it's a lot straighter. It's not, the spokes are really loose, so it's kind of sitting pretty far out of dish. So we'll go ahead and just, I'm going to tighten these. Probably can just turn them by hand for a bit, but I'm going to focus on getting them pretty even as far as, I'm going to tighten them till I can just see just a bit of threads showing. Alright, so kind of got them roughed in there, about as far as I can turn them by hand. And you can see it's still a little out of whack, but it's not anywhere near where it was. So I'll go ahead and take the little calipers in here a little bit, and we'll just start truing it from here. I'm still at this point just really adding tension to the wheel. I'm not really going too far on any of the spokes. They should be fairly even, so I'm kind of just building a little tension here and getting the rim kind of roughed into center. One thing as far as if you're like, say, out on the trail somewhere and you crash and taco your rim, it's kind of an emergency situation. I've seen where guys will just take and pound the wheel on on the ground or whatever to get it straight enough to ride it in, which you can definitely do that. But if you actually, like let's say the rim is bent over this way, if you back the spokes off, like say you're going to want to bend the rim back to that way. Basically the rim's going to be bent over, these spokes will be really loose, but if you back them off a little, it'll allow you to push on that rim. You can push it against a tree or something, but it'll allow that rim to move over, and it's going to make it a lot easier to get it back at least rideable. So this rim here, it's got a disc brake flange there, so this would have been a disc brake wheel. So it's not as crucial to get this rim just super perfect as it would be on a rim brake set up there. So just something to consider, which if it was somebody super low budget, and maybe you're super limited on funds, you could definitely get this wheel workable and rideable. Shop generally, if you want to take it to a shop, really you're going to be just investing in buying a new wheel, because most bike shops are not going to want to invest the time into, like I said earlier, doing a repair like this. I used to do these quite a bit back in the day, or whenever I raced a lot of BMX, jumping and stuff, you're always tearing up wheels. I used to build a lot of wheels for Matt Hoffman way back in the day, and typically he would just destroy them, 3 or 4 wheels a night, and then that would be the end of the riding session, and he would give me a give me the damaged wheels, and then he was getting the peregrine rims, and I would just relace them up and give him a handful of new wheels and destroy them a couple days later. But sometimes you can, you know, if you're in a pinch where you just got to get by with something, you can straighten it out enough to get it rideable. I mean, it's not anything that was bent this bad, you're not going to get it perfect, but you can get it to where it's usable, I guess, for a temporary time being till you can afford to get a new wheel or rim or just whichever. There's a few spots on here where I could probably, I'm just gonna work it as much as I worked it, and then we're just gonna get it towards in a, basically a rideable state. Like I say, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be in a rideable state where, you know, that's one beauty with a disc brake wheel, is that it doesn't have to be, it's not going to rub brake pads, but you definitely don't want it to be rubbing up against your frame. And then, you know, the more even you can get the tension, you know, you don't want, like say, this side to be super, super tight and this side to be loose, or otherwise if you actually ride it like that, you're going to start popping spokes and whatnot pretty quickly. If you're, you know, bigger, you have, you know, loaded down, maybe you're touring and riding across the country and you're 20 miles from a bike shop and you just got to get by to make it through to the end. So, you know, this would be a worthwhile method for that. So I got this one spot right here. I think I'm going to push it up against something here. So just clamp this thing loosely to my welding table, and I've got the wheels locked, so hopefully it doesn't roll too much. But I've got this part here where I loosen up the spokes, so I'm wanting the rim to go that way a little. And I'm just gonna, this is kind of how I did it on my other video. That's typically how I'll normally do these a lot of the time. Which, you know, if you're out in the woods, you know, you try to straighten it, this would be a good method for that as well. All right, so right here was the point where I wanted to push the rim over this way. You got your two loose spokes here, and so it's actually hitting the calipers on this side. So that worked out how we wanted it. That's basically what you want. You want it to be pushed over a little further to the side that you want with the tension relief, so that way when you put a little tension back on the non-drive side here, in this case, it's going to center that rim right back up to where you want, so you don't have a situation where you're trying to pull the rim over because it's bent this way, and you're trying to compensate by getting these spokes too tight. And straighter, you know, it's just basically the straighter the rim, the more even your spoke tension is going to be. So it feels pretty good there. I mean, there's still a couple little sharp bends here and there. But I'm not going to spend too much time on this to get it perfect. We're just going to get it to where if we were in an emergency situation, just to get it rideable. But we'll probably get it within, I don't know, 1 to 2 millimeters all around. Yeah, so our tension's pretty even. You know, it still has that, you can see a little bend here and there, but it's not horrible. And typically I normally work the radial, the up and down, and then I'll work the lateral into that, but mainly I'll focus on the radial. I made a video a while back as far as, so one thing I see a lot is guys will take something and they'll prop one of the calipers open, and I see a lot of guys at a lot of the other mechanics at the shop do it, and I'm like, what's the point of that? You know, why do you do that or whatever? And like, oh, it's just easier to focus on it or whatever. And I asked the question on one of my wheel truing videos, and I'll ask it here again. I just can't wrap my head around that concept. I mean, it's like you got these two points to where you can center the rim side to side, and then you got another point where you can get it round radially. So I don't know. If anybody has the answer, let me know. I don't know. I think it's just kind of, to me, it seems like kind of a shortcut as far as if you know, having these 3 parameters is too much to focus on, or I'm not sure. But anyway, rant over on that topic. Try to keep it positive here. Just getting my last low spots out here.
So something worth mentioning is that this repair is really just a temporary fix. It should only be ridden in a really careful, slow manner, similar to if you were putting one of those real skinny spare tires on your car when you get a flat. You know, the reason is this rim has been structurally compromised and really shouldn't be ridden in a fast, aggressive, or long-term manner. But with that, all that being said, I'll probably take this thing and bolt it up onto my black home-built bike and kind of romp around on it and see how much it can actually take. But yeah, I guess the gist of the point of the message is this isn't a long-term solution until you really properly fix it by replacing the wheel.
Alright, so worked away at it there for a little while, and it's, you know, there's few imperfections here and there, but you know, the spoke tension is pretty good all around. There's no really overly tight spokes, no really overly loose spokes. So this would definitely be something you could ride for a bit longer, another 2 months or so, till your paycheck gets you another wheel or whatever. All right, so yeah, there it is. Hopefully you picked up some tips if you're looking to do a similar straighten a wheel out. So anyway, yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm always doing various bicycle tutorials, repair tutorials, or product reviews, building random furniture or whatever. I got a lot of stuff I'm going to be building here in the garage pretty soon. So yeah, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I'm putting stuff out at least weekly generally. So anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.